I'm gonna set the phone down so I can drive.
All right, you want to call the meeting to order real quick?
All right. Bear with me. Let me get in this intersection. All right. Prairie View Ranch Water District board meeting starting at 7:03 on. Sorry, guys, traffic.
5th of May.
Yeah, May 5th. 4th. I'm sorry, May 4th. Or is it the 5th? I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, it is the 5th. It's all good.
May 5th at 7:02. Marcy, are you present?
Here.
Mia, are you present?
Here.
Randy, are you present?
Here.
Jesse, you are present?
Yes, sir.
And I'm Sam, and I'm present. We do have a quorum. I call this meeting to order.
All
Go ahead,
righty.
Jesse.
So yeah, first thing on the agenda was updates from legal counsel, but unfortunately Jeff won't be able to make it. He had a scheduling conflict, but would like to schedule a replacement for this, for that meeting that he can't make as soon as possible. So I'll send him an email after this and trying to get some proposed dates. But basically, he wanted to provide updates on DOLA and potential funding that we can get through technical assistance to help like hire a district manager and various other things like that. And then, of course, provide some updates on the court case. So we'll get that scheduled as soon as we find out what everybody's availability is. So moving right along, we need to review and adopt a budget as soon as possible. It has to be done. It should have already been done in December, January timeframe, but we technically still have a chance to get it uploaded. And approving a budget is one of the things that we have to do in order to qualify for this grant that our legal counsel is talking about. So important that we do this, and important that we budget to spend the money that we get, because if we don't budget, we can't spend that money until next budget season. So that's why it's so important to get this done. Have to do it to get the money, and then have to do it to spend the money as well. So I didn't actually have a chance to put together 2023 and 2024 actual financial numbers, but Linda said that would be okay for now. When we upload to DOLA, we will have to provide prior year's actuals, but for the purpose of this meeting and reviewing the budget, we only really need to look at 2025. So I'm zoomed in as far as I can. I'll try to actually zoom in further on the 25 projected column, just so everybody can see it, just in case they're on a smartphone or anything. So projected revenue is roughly the same as it's been the last couple of years, because we're on flat rate and our number of active water taps has not increased. So 41,567, which is roughly $70 per household divided by 49 taps. Same as last year, roughly $1,200 in tap transfer fees. That's when somebody sells their house and somebody else buys it, we collect a fee at closing. So anticipating roughly 3 for 2025. I think there's actually been 2 already, so if there's one more, then that comes out just about right. 550 in late fees, give or take. That's, like 5 houses or something like that for the year. We don't really have a whole lot of late fees going on anymore, which is actually good. This one, $75,000. That's potential revenue that we can get from the technical assistance grant from DOLA. That would be in addition to any funding we get from the CDPHE grants and loans, or the tier 1 funding that we applied for already, which would we maxed that out at 300,000. So even if we don't get that, if we can get 75,000 to at least pay somebody to help out a little bit, that would be good. So that projects, if we get that 75,000, $118,322 in revenue, which is more than we've ever reported before. So that gives us some leeway for spending. So this $24,000 is for potentially hiring a district manager, or outsourcing it to a consultant or multiple consultants or whatever it takes to make sure that board members aren't doing things, or sorry, let me say that another way. Trying to find a replacement for the staff that we don't have to do some of the things that board members shouldn't have to do and aren't in their legal job descriptions or within their legal range of operation. $0. This yellow bar is still $0 for any compliance to bring the system back into compliance with the health department, because that's pretty much, there's really not a whole lot we can do, A, with the money that we have, B, without CDPHE approval as part of a bigger project, and C, without permission from the developer because they still technically own the infrastructure. The $290 here, let me scroll over and see what that's for. Publishing and adverts, it's roughly the same as it was last year, kind of adjusting for inflation and postage increases and things like that. Bank charges and fees are expected to stay roughly the same, $1,750 last year, $1,900 this year. $800 for membership and dues in various clubs like CRWA, programs that we have to pay a membership fee to. Other fees and miscellaneous traditionally been like in the 120 to 160 range, so I put 180 there. Just things that we didn't expect, late fees and things like that. Insurance, still $1,000. That's roughly how much it costs, to get bonds in place and everything for board members and elections. I was actually going to increase that, and we probably should if there's going to be extra money and we actually get any funding. If we can hire a district manager or outsource it, our district really does need more insurance, especially liability insurance, to help protect the people that subcontract and that we might, pay wages to or anything like that. So I probably should have changed that, but I ran out of time. Probably going to be more like $4,000 instead of $1,000. Legal, professional services, and election help, $26,000. That's more than we've ever put there before, I think, for an official budget. But again, we're going to have to be outsourcing stuff, especially when we're talking, moving forward with a CDPHE grant and spending even more, the $300,000 and everything. We're going to have to be paying attorneys more and everything like that. So that's been budgeted in. This $6,000 is for accounting and audit. I know that our federally funded EPA EPIC contractor is going to be funding an audit, but we're not sure yet, due to the pending lawsuit and everything, whether we can actually take the state and EPIC up on that particular offer. I know that EPIC kind of presented it to us as the option from the state, but there are other options, and we need to make sure that that gets talked about in board meetings, future board meetings, executive sessions, management discussions, and things like that. So I am budgeting some money there for an accountant and audit, even though it might be being paid for anyway. Software, office, website, going up a little bit. Last year is about $800. So I'm figuring $950 this year. This $21,000 is for ORC and lab fees, a little bit less than we budgeted last year. We didn't spend what we budgeted last year. A lot of the expensive tests that we had to do were actually completed as far as like the groundwater analysis. So some of the big extra testing that we've done the past couple of years, I guess probably that'll be dialed back some this year. $900 for postage and mailing. Still $0, or sorry, I added $2,400 for rent and lease, just in case we need storage space for the water softeners or various other things. $1,500 for water treatment, which is roughly the same as last year. I think it was actually 1366 or something like that for chlorine and other chemicals and testing, sampling supplies. I've got $200 for the radiation control program. That's an annual fee. I don't think we're off the hook for that yet. So until we hear otherwise, we're enrolled in that program, and it costs $200 a year to be. For utilities, which is pretty much just electricity and internet access, and now cell phones, I've budgeted 5,000. Last year we budgeted 10. It wasn't that much. And ever since we got the tanks cleaned out and reconfigured the treatment process to be more like it was described by the engineer, that's actually saving us quite a lot of money by not running that dead pump that really doesn't do anything anyway. So that cuts our electricity spend almost by 50%. And the other two categories, vehicle fuel and maintenance, I put that in as a category just in case for 2026. Same with handyman and grounds, just in case we have any money to pay somebody to pull weeds or something like that. But there's no, I didn't actually budget for that. And then the one thing that I did skip over was system repairs. And I should actually probably split that out separate from a maintenance category. But as far as system repairs go, still technically budgeted zero because we don't legally own the system, and it's technically not legal for us to spend any money on private property. So whenever we fix something on that system, it's kind of like we're paying, similar to if we were just paying the owner of that system to fix their private vehicle or repair their roof or something like that. We're not supposed to be doing it, so I'm still not officially budgeting anything for it. So that comes out to, somebody gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, on the mailings and stuff, wasn't that supposed to be done by the partners?
Yeah, but we still have manganese and other, operational messages, so it's still kind of a shared duty. But yeah, it's okay to spend less than our budget. It's just not okay to spend more.
Okay, just asking.
But yeah, the developer, who is the other supplier and subject of the enforcement order from the health department, hasn't lifted a finger for pretty much a full year now on anything, including violations that they agreed to resolve and then didn't. So that's what that recent email and the piece of paper everybody got in the mail or will be getting in the mail here if they haven't already, explaining why we are sending it out and why the violation happened. But the developer agreed to handle that. They failed to handle it. They failed to send out the public notice. And I did it for them as a favor and told them how to find addresses and everything so that they can mail it out next time. And if they don't mail it out next time, that's their problem, not ours.
Okay.
We didn't create that violation. We didn't earn the violation. Somebody else said they were going to fix it. We should not be getting a violation for not fixing it. So that's about it for the budget. That's a spend of 92,120. And we may actually end up with 26,000 left over at the end of the year that we can put forward to more management or whatever we need to. This doesn't mean that we can keep water rates the same necessarily, and our attorney will be able to explain more of that probably in the next public part of the meeting before we go into executive session. But I hate to say it, but rates are probably going to have to go up at some point here pretty soon. We've been staving it off for a while, but law says we have to charge as much as it costs to make water, and we've been trying to subsidize that the best we can, but we keep hitting a shortfall every year on that, so it can't continue. But anyway, that's about it for the budget. If anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, speak now.
Jesse, what's going on with our terms?
Yeah, that'll probably be subject for the executive session next time.
Okay.
But Jeff's aware of it and everything, so he doesn't seem too worried, so I wouldn't either.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they would like to share, comment on, question?
Well, on an unrelated subject, I just wondered, kind of this is for Randy, why the numbers changed on our invoices.
Well, that was also a question that I had because I noticed as I was doing them. So when I started mailing out the bills for the end of the month last month, I'm not sure what changed or what happened in QuickBooks, but the invoice numbers I noticed were always 4 digits long. When I was doing them the other night, they're like 10 digits long now. So I am not sure what changed or what happened in QuickBooks, but something in there changed and it really made the numbers a whole lot longer.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'll hop on and see if I can see anything obvious, but yeah, that's pretty weird. It used to just be like 1309 and the next one would be 1310, but yeah, now they're like phone numbers.
Yeah, they really are. And I really don't know what happened. I thought that was actually kind of bizarre. So there are a couple other matters with that, but I think that will be something that we need to discuss more at the executive session instead of doing some of that this evening.
Yeah.
Right. I just wondered, I was just curious, because if we're audited, we need to be able to have an answer for it. That's my only thing. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And I absolutely agree. And that just kind of took me back a little bit too when I started sending them out. And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to our invoice numbers? Because this is not right. But I'm not sure what changed in there. So I'll dig into it as well.
Cool.
Okay, thanks. If you need help, let me know.
I sure will.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Kira wanted to kind of sync up with a few things, and
Sure.
also, so I make a motion to approve this budget so that we can sign it and upload it to DOLA before the deadline so that we can get some money that we're talking about spending.
do we have a second?
I'll second that, but Jesse, are you gonna make those few changes before you send it?
Yeah.
Okay, I second it.
So the motion is that Jesse makes the changes, that we approve the current changes, and Jesse gets it on time. Jesse made the motion. Marcy seconds it. Mia?
Yeah, I third it.
Okay. Randy?
Yes, I'm good with it.
Jesse?
I'm good with it too. That's 5 of 5.
Sam? Yes. That's roll call vote. It is approved. Anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base. This is Kira. I just wanted to touch base. I've been working with Jesse on kind of gathering a list of, the items that he's been doing recently. And I just wanted to touch base with the board just to make sure that there's kind of a contingency plan. And mostly to see what training has happened so far and kind of what action plan we want to make for training in the future so that, again, the things that Jesse was doing don't fall off of our plates. So yeah, I guess my first question is, have y'all done any kind of succession planning? And has Jesse trained anybody in anything so far? It's fine if the answer is no.
Here, not to my knowledge.
Okay, good deal. So I guess, is today your last day or is tomorrow your last day, Jesse?
Today, 11:59:59.
Okay, so I mean, I have a fairly good idea from our text messages. I mostly just want to make sure that the assets that you have in your garage, that you're warm, temperature controlled, are being passed to somebody, and that the board has passwords, and somebody's kind of on the getting logging into things, right? So that y'all can have access when Jesse's gone. So the first point would be those chemicals. Is there an action plan to move those somewhere else?
It's the water softeners, and they're big enough that we're going to have to, rent a storage unit.
Okay.
Or, something climate controlled. Sheila knows of a little closet that they might fit in. I was supposed to measure them a long time ago and do the math and see if they would fit, but yeah, the thing's they're very heavy. They can't, they got to be stored, above freezing, etc. So our options are limited there.
So
Now-
go ahead.
Sorry, really quick, Kara. I know in one of the other meetings we had mentioned that either Marcy, I think it was Marcy, might have some availability or lead on some kind of storage that possibly is climate controlled. Has that been followed up on?
Go ahead, Jesse.
So yeah, Sheila had a lead, but I'm not sure. Marcy, did you have one?
No, I didn't. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Okay, so yeah, Sheila
Okay.
has a lead. I'll touch base with her.
Okay, sorry, Marcy. I thought it was you.
No, that's okay.
Okay, thank
No
you.
worries. Yep.
So we'll plan on having a board member follow up on that just to make sure that that's happening in the next week. And then the second point was just getting all of the passwords and logins for your various accounts. So just wondering if anyone on the board is willing to take kind of lead on that.
I'm more than happy to. Jesse, you and I have kind of talked about that, and we have had some text messages. I believe the majority of those passwords and websites are on that Excel sheet, the password key.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the official there's a hierarchy of where all of our data is stored, including the passwords. So the umbrella or the container that holds everything that belongs to the district is our Google Drive. So that's like a hard drive, except it's cloud storage, and any computer with the password and the right information can connect to it as though it was a hard drive on the computer, and then you can just click around and go through the folders and whatnot. So in the Google Drive, there is a file that goes to a Windows computer program called KeyPass, and that's a password vault. That vault also has a password. And once you know the Google Drive password and can get to the password vault file, you can type in the vault password, and there is a list of, I think it's like 57 different websites and accounts that the district has that we have to log into with the username, password, etc. So that's pretty much it. So as long as nobody loses the master password for the KeyPass file, and we don't lose access to Google Drive where the KeyPass file is stored, then we should be able to recover access to most things. The exception to that are QuickBooks, grants.gov, and a couple other websites dealing with money that are two-factor, I call it 2FA, but it's two-factor authentication, which are the 6-digit text messages that you get with like the one-time code. So you put your username, your password, and then it'll say, okay, we sent a code to your phone. What is it? We need a district cell phone to receive those codes so that I can transfer them off of my personal cell and off of our defunct Skype number, which Microsoft either shut down today or will be shutting down very soon. So that's something that I'll pretty much have to do because it requires, me holding both the old phone and the new phone and stuff like that. So as soon as we get signed up for a phone, I'll transfer all those over and document that and update everything in the KeyPass file. But those are the keys to the kingdom. Google Drive contains the password file. The password file contains the keys to everything else.
Okay, perfect.
And
So it,
real quick,
yep, go
just
ahead. Yep.
sorry, just updating on the phones. I'm sure that anybody who's got access to the email, I have been in touch with Lance, and it looks like I should get that phone issue wrapped up here in the next couple days.
That's good.
Perfect.
Cool. Yeah, let me know as soon as we've got a number and everything, and then if you can just leave the phone with, yeah, we'll designate one of the phones as like the, the master key phone.
Yes.
That number can never change. We can never lose that phone. That's the keys to banking and everything else. So I'll transfer. Yeah, once I've got that phone, I'll just transfer all the codes over to it, and then that is like the permanent district phone, regardless of who the board is.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and then I guess the only other things would be kind of like any weekly operational tasks that you're doing, Jesse. Chlorine residuals, things like that. I mean, I think really the question is what is your ORC taking care of, and operationally, what have you been doing? And then who are we going to delegate those tasks to, right?
Yeah, so Paul's been doing basically like what we call the monthly checks, for back T and the actual monthly rounds. And then I've been doing all of the weekly and daily stuff. There isn't very much daily other than just, if somebody calls at 5 a.m. and pressure is low, unless there's a problem, then it's just kind of making the rounds, making sure no fire hydrants are leaking, stuff like that. And I have a security camera both outside and inside the pump house, which makes checking on the pump house a lot easier. You don't have to go down there or look out the window or drive up the hill or whatever to see if it's on fire.
Okay.
Could
So
you-
we're
Could
doing.
you log,
Go ahead, Marcy.
Jesse, can you log Sam back in? Never mind. Thanks.
Sorry, guys. For some reason, I was disconnected.
Yep, no worries. So yeah, we're just kind of talking about like handing over duties and stuff like that, since I'm kind of stepping down a little bit.
Okay.
So it sounds like daily duties is really just keeping track of the treatment housing, which is on video, so that's perfect. Are there any fees or payment associated with that process?
Not currently, but the pump house basically, yeah, I own the equipment. There's a point-to-point microwave antenna that beams my internet access down to the pump house.
Okay.
So pump house will need its own, internet solution at some point. So
Okay.
that there really needs to be a phone down there first and foremost, plus, a network where cameras can connect to and stuff like that.
Sure. Okay. So that can be a long-term goal of the board. And then the only other thing is you'd mentioned you were doing things on a weekly basis. Is that just gathering the chlorine residual at the entry point and keeping that log?
Yeah, for the most part.
And then are you still doing the kind of, I forget what the wording is, but where we add that extra chemical because of the manganese?
Yeah, the
Okay.
manganese interference.
That's the one.
I'm not
And then
sure.
is that
Oh,
your
sorry.
chlorine meter? Is that the district's?
It's the district's.
Okay. Perfect. So I guess the question is, who would like to take responsibility for that? And then what kind of training can we get for y'all? I.e., do you want me to come down and do that? Or Jesse, do you want to do the training?
Yeah, I can do the training.
Well, over a year ago, I was helping you, Jesse, and I don't mind going up and checking the chlorine and putting more chlorine in it, or going and getting the chlorine, or whatever I need to do. I'm usually in town in Wiggins once a week, so
Sampling is probably enough. I've asked Paul, so he can get a stronger concentration of bleach, and it comes in 5-gallon totes instead of the 1-gallon jugs. It's a little bit more expensive, but it means we don't have to go pick it up. It will come on a schedule when Paul comes out on a regular basis. And however many gallons we put in the barrel will last longer because it's 10% concentration instead of 6.5, which means it'll last longer in the system, and it just, it won't need to be taken or sucked out of the barrel as fast. So I think it's probably worth the extra couple of dollars that it's like, I think it's another $7 or $8 on top of like, 5 1-gallon containers. And the other great thing about that is it's a lot less waste. I'm really getting tired of stomping and flattening like 18 chlorine bottles every month.
Yep.
So Paul can take those empty containers back with them. They're recyclable and reusable and stuff, just like the big totes are. So I think that's probably the way to go. So in that case, then the weekly routine would mostly just be chlorine sampling at the entry point. And
Okay.
yeah,
Just once a week?
yeah, no more, or sorry, no further than that. It can't be any more than 7 days in between. I usually do, it depends. Like if I go down there and check it and it's pretty much where we want it to be, which is like 1.4, 1.5 range,
Right.
then I'll let it go for another 5, 6, 7 days. But if it's way higher or sorry, if it's noticeably higher or lower than it was, then check it like every 2 days or every 1 day or whatever until you're sure that it's not getting out of whack. But if anything major changes, you just call Paul anyway.
Okay.
And Marcy, I know I have limited availability, but we can swap and take and help each other out. I'll do it when I'm around.
I can
Okay.
help work on the scheduling on that. And it's in our Google Drive, and you can easily get to it from a cell phone or a computer.
What was that on the sheets?
Yeah, it's on Google Sheets, and it's the entire history, like all 416 times or however many times I've been down to the pump house to take measurements. So if you want to keep
Right.
that going, that's the easiest way when, like we're probably less than 2 years away from the next sanitary survey, the big inspection. They'll probably want to see those, they'll say, give me the last 18 months of your chlorine readings or whatever. So
Okay.
I would recommend, keep using the system that I've been using so that if the health department asks, you don't have to look for old stuff in one place, new stuff on paper, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And I just want to point out that if Sam's going to help, that you have to refresh the log before you go to the pump house to do it. And that way, then you're on the most current sheet. Right, Jesse?
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that. And if we can, it might be a good idea to get like an Android tablet and leave it at the pump house and use it for data entry and stuff like that. Because I can do it on, I've been doing it on my smartphone, but my eyesight isn't as good anymore and stuff like that. So it works really good on Android. So we might as well get a bigger tablet and just, make that like kind of the official place to take notes and put data in.
Okay. Could you add that to the budget?
Yeah, I think that'll probably fall within pro services, but I'm definitely going to make a note to add that as a purchase.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good. Because it's
Yeah,
only
well,
at what? It's
well,
only about,
go ahead.
go
Marcy.
ahead. Oh, I think it's only about a couple $100, Jesse, for
Max.
an Android tablet.
Yeah, you can even get brand new, like older ones off of eBay and stuff for 60% off. It'll work just fine too.
Right.
I'll find one.
And
Okay.
if that doesn't work out, we also do accept paper copies of logs. So a lot of times what I suggest smaller systems who can't afford to buy stuff do is keep a paper log and then you just scan it with a smartphone. Maybe once a year, twice a year.
I've
So
been
that's
doing it.
an option.
Yeah, I was kind of do it the opposite, where keep it digitally, and then if a paper copy is needed, then you can just print it out.
Yeah. So either way works, but we do accept hard copies, with handwriting as well.
Right. We used to do that, but then Jesse put us on Google Drive and so now we have Google Sheets and Google Documents, that kind of stuff.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. So just last question is for me anyways. Do we have keys? Do we have access to the treatment building?
We
kind
should
of
change.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a list of like gate codes and go look for copies of keys and stuff. But yeah, I think at least Sam and I have current copies of keys, and Paul does too. And then there's a lockbox, and so that's something make sure everybody knows and is real careful about. So there's the padlock with the chain that holds the gate shut. There's
Right.
a 4-digit lockbox on the gate. There's another lockbox on the pump house, or sorry, on the west well gate. And those codes, I think, should be the same, but there's 2 padlocks on the chain for the pump house gate. And the reason for that is we've got one person who isn't affiliated with the district at all, who does have authorization to go into the gated area, but not inside the pump house. So that's why there's a key for one padlock in the lockbox, but there is not a key for the pump house in the lockbox. That's Paul and only authorized district personnel who can go into the pump house. But we've got that one guy that has to go around to the back of the pump house to look at the MCREA power meter and report the well flow meter readings to the State Division of Water Resources. So that's the main reason the security camera is on the outside of the pump house, is to make sure we keep that person honest.
Okay. I guess I have a key to one of the locks on the gate and a key to the pump house, but I
Yeah,
don't have that second key, so.
I was at Country Hardware today, pick up more bleach, and I should have made more keys, but I'm driving back there in a day or two to get pick up a package that I'm expecting. So yeah, how about this? I'll just cut a whole bunch of new keys and make sure that every board member's got a backup copy plus one to give to Paul.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, speaking of records real quick, since we were talking about like chlorine logs and everything, I did buy like 8-10 months ago a metal filing cabinet, which is down there. So if you do have to keep any paper records, there's a 3-ring binder in the filing cabinet. And then also all of the historical system records that were in the 3-ring binder that we inherited from the previous board. There were 2 3-ring binders, one that had all of the district government stuff in it, and a separate one for all of the actual infrastructure and health department correspondence and documents. So all of the historical records that were in the CDPHE binder that we inherited from the previous board is in the filing cabinet, and it's wrapped up in plastic, a couple layers of plastic bags and stuff just in case it gets wet in there. So those are permanent records, don't lose them. And then they're also digitally scanned, like all 5,000 pages of them in our Google Drive.
Oh, Mia's got her hand raised.
Oh, I was just asking if they were scanned and we had them digitally.
Yep. So we do have to have, yeah, definitely keep the paper copies. They have to be on site. But then, yeah, everything that's in those binders is also scanned to PDF. We can search every single page for Cora requests and stuff like that. So at our fingertips.
Excellent. So I think those are all kind of the main points that I wanted to review. I think we can, certainly review kind of the notes that I've been taking with Jesse during our next work group meeting, just because I know this might not necessarily be the place for all of the logistics, but I did want to cover just some of the basics. So thank you for inviting me, number one, as always, but also indulging me to just go over some of those key parts. Anything else y'all want or need from me? I know we do, our next meeting is this week. Let me triple check time on that.
Friday, 2:15, I think.
I think we did Wednesday at 6.
Oh, coaching session.
Yes.
And then the enforcement call is Friday at 2:15.
Yes, and then the enforcement call is it this Friday? I thought it was Tuesday. Yeah, so that is Tuesday the 13th at 2:15. So those are the next
that's right.
things coming up. If you would like me to add anybody to the meeting on Wednesday, let me know. So far we've got Brian, Brenda, the generic PVR water district account, Sheila, Aaron Riley may be there. We got Sam, and then I have a Spence_L at yahoo.com. So if you'd like me to add anybody, just feel free to type it in that text thread that we have or email it to me as well.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it from me. Thank you all again for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Kara.
Thank you.
Almost perfect at 1945 too.
Right.
You did great. All right. I'm going to sign off. Thanks, y'all.
Take care.
Thanks.
Anything else? Questions, concerns, comments?
I have a couple of concerns. My concerns are that we need to reappoint 2 board members, and they need to get their paperwork together along with their social security numbers so we can get bonds for them.
Okay. Would that be Randy and Mia?
It would.
Okay, I make a motion to reappoint Randy Moore and Mia Hamaker and get their bonds taken care of as soon as possible. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Marcy,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Sam, yes. Motion passes. Let's get it done as soon as we possibly can.
All right. I'll get the paperwork going.
Okay,
Thank you.
and I'll reach out to the lawyer. Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Jesse.
Don't forget the phones, Randy. Go ahead, Ryan.
The phones, the cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've got my list going.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Jesse, what's the cost of the chlorine that they're going to charge the district?
I'll have to ask Paul. We bought 1 5-gallon jug of it, and it was like, I want to say about $5 or $6 more than it would have to buy, individual 1 gallons from Country Hardware.
Yeah, for doing that sport. The reason I'm asking is because, my connection and I may be able to get a better deal.
Yeah, let me know. But we're talking like maybe $18 or $25 more a month than we've been spending, so not too horrible.
Yeah, and it, again, because my brother has that, 'cause he uses it in the waterway industry a lot, so I can get it directly.
Yeah, if you can get it on a regular basis, that's the hard or the important part. I tried to go through Paul's supplier and have it shipped out here, but by the time you have it shipped on a monthly basis, that adds like $65,
Yeah.
to the overall cost or whatever. So
Yeah, they
Paul
get
can
it
just drive
direct.
it out from the same supplier.
Yeah, they get it direct, and it's family, so there's no delivery costs.
Cool.
Terrible feedback, Randy. Or I mean, not Randy, but Ryan.
It's actually Sam's phone.
Yeah, it's on
Oh.
Sam.
But at any
Oh, I'm
rate,
sorry, guys. I'm not
Ryan,
doing
try-
anything. I'm just sitting here.
it's just background echo. But Ryan, yeah, try to get a price quote. I'll compare that to what Paul's is. I'm guessing they might even get them from the same, regional supplier. So definitely whoever's got the best deal.
Yeah, and they have it in stock in their warehouse. Again, just because they have multiple people that are using that. So
Yeah, those 5-gallon totes are just way easier to deal with and a lot less waste too.
yep, I agree. And that was what my
All right.
brother brought up back in the day. So I can reach out to him.
Cool, thank you.
So you don't have to lift them or what?
They're
Yes,
heavier.
yes, they are heavy. So 8 pounds for a gallon. So 5 times 8. That's how heavy they are. So yes.
Yeah, but Paul, if Paul's gonna bring him out, then he can just,
Right,
pour
put
them
'em in.
too.
Well, we would just
Okay.
tap them because we can keep them down at the house, and he can just fill it.
Yeah,
We just
Great.
provide it, and he just does his job.
Cool. Because I don't think I could lift those.
Probably not.
yeah.
I'm
Bleach is
old.
even heavier than water per gallon too, a little bit.
But I'll find out, and I'll let you know also what I find out. So
Sounds good. Anything else?
The auditor situation, I think we're all on the same page there. The state auditor is saying, even though there's no law that lets you do it, go ahead and just skip turning in all paperwork for 2019 through 2021. I'm not cool with that. There's a huge amount of money that I would like to report, or water tap sales that I'd like to report for those years. But these state auditors basically saying, if you want to sweep this all under the rug and pretend that that money never existed and those years never happened, we'll let you. But after thinking about it and then talking to Jeff, he said, yeah, we better not take them up on that offer because it could interfere with what we're trying to do in our lawsuit right now. So I told the Epic contractor, that's a very interesting offer. We're going to have to get back to you on that. Hopefully we'll hear something by the 21st. We'll keep in touch.
That's good.
Because yeah,
I don't think,
the state's basically like, yeah, you can just cover all this up and pretend it never happened.
well, I can't do that ethically, so I'm still pissed about Fred's stuff.
Yeah, we'll just have to take it one day at a time. Like the lawsuit is way more important because even though we're out of compliance with the state auditor and our punishment is dumb, like the state has two options when a district gets out of compliance like we are. They can either force the district to go into a full audit, and the state appoints an accountant to the district and then makes the district pay the state and the taxpayers back afterward. Or they can withhold the district's tax revenue as a threat, saying, okay, if you're not going to do your financials, we're not going to let you have your tax revenue. But we're a non-taxing district, and that's what's so dumb about the state auditor making that choice 5 or 6 years ago to punish the people that were, embezzling and laundering the money by saying, well, you can't have tax revenue even though you're not generating any. So it's a complete empty threat, and now it's hurting us, but we don't want to do anything that ruins the lawsuit, and we don't have to fix this in order to get the CDPHE funding. So that's why I told the Epic contractor, just hold off for a while. We don't want to ruin the lawsuit, and there's no hurry in doing this. Let's win the lawsuit first, and then we can talk about covering it.
Right, because then it's a victimless crime.
Yeah, basically. Like, there were still victims, but as long as we got our day in court and a judge and jury said yes or no, that's our justice. We need justice first, and then we can talk about, illegal cover-ups of financial documents and stuff. But if we cover
Right.
it up first, then we're basically telling the court, oh, hey, we already don't care about this money after all, just drop the case.
Yeah, and that just isn't the case. So
We can't tell the state auditor we do care about the money, or we don't care about the money, and then expect a judge to respect that we do. So let's let the court case proceed naturally first, and then tell the state what we're going to do.
yeah, because it has nothing to do with tier 1 money.
Nope.
And I just want to reiterate before we all get off here, do not sign anything from the state
As far as
or
financial audits or
OSA or,
anything,
yeah. I'm just reiterating it to all of us just to make sure, that we don't lose our court case, number 1. And number 2, that we're all on the same page, basically. And understand why we can't do that. And I think we do.
yeah.
I
Been
also
fighting for
wanted
this
to
for a
bring up-
long time.
Sorry, Jesse.
Go ahead, Sam, or Ryan.
I wanted to bring up that, I believe it was yesterday. No, it was Saturday. I believe John Pearson was here and he was knocking on the new people's doors, just so you're aware.
Huh.
I'm 99% sure he was here.
Interesting.
Wyoming plates, and goddamn it, swear it was him. I mean, if I had to do a description, it'd meet the descriptor to the police. So just FYI, on board.
Not him.
Was he driving a truck?
Like a blue vehicle. They took aerial photos of everybody's houses last September. And he was
Oh,
trying to sell them, and we actually bought one from him. So
I was tempted to. He did actually take some really good pictures.
they were
Yeah, well,
amazing.
I found it pretty creepy.
Yeah, kind
It
of.
didn't come to us, so. But it could be my
Mm.
flag, so.
No, probably not. Could be. All right, guys. Do you
I
want to
have a-
adjourn?
We have a motion for an adjournment. We have a second for an adjournment. Are we in agreement to adjourn?
I'm agreeing.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll adjourn this meeting of May 5th, 2025 of the Prairie View Ranch Water Board at 1952. Thank you and good night, all.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Ryan,
Oh,
Ryan.
Yep.
Did we lose
We-
Ryan?
Yeah, I would
No.
like Ryan if he would stay on for just a minute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
yeah,
I'm out of here.
If I
Thank you.
stop the
Thanks,
meeting, it'll
guys.
end for everybody.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Ryan.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, I just had a quick question for you, but it's more a little bit like on a personal type matter thing.
Sure.
That's why I was just kind of waiting. So I had a question for you. You said that you work with a lady named Mary Bates, or I'm sorry, Mary Bates.
Mary Stahl.
Mary Stahl. Thank you. I totally lost my mind there.
Yep.
The reason why I was asking is because we used to know a Mary Stahl. And I don't know if it's the same lady or not. And that's why I was just curious. The lady we knew, she was a little bit taller. She was blonde, or obviously she might be a little bit more grayer now. But I don't know if you know, she used to work at Coors many years ago.
No, she's been an engineer her whole life. She worked on major water districts down south and then
Okay.
worked for I believe the city of Westminster for like 15 years. So
Okay.
same name, different lady.
Yeah, no, and that's what I figured, but I just thought I would ask if you didn't mind, because it's like, what would the odds be if that really was the same one? And
Yeah.
that would be funny to run into her. So my husband worked with her husband, and unfortunately her husband passed away many years ago as well.
No, her husband's still alive. So different
Okay.
lady. Yep.
Okay, cool. And then just one quick question. So you were saying that John Pearson, possibly they were out here taking pictures of the lots?
He was out. He knocked on the door on 27. I drove by and they're the newest homeowners that just bought.
Right.
And and my son actually also thought he saw him too. So, but yeah, I don't know what he was doing, or it's similar to when we moved out here. Doria came out and they, trying to butter everybody up, and I knew better because I knew who Doria was. So they didn't. Her and Pennington didn't go over very well. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was an interesting, like, and he only stopped at a couple. I know what Mia was talking about was one thing, but this was literally Wyoming plates, and he only stopped at the new homeowners, Avery's old place and at 27.
That's
So,
really interesting.
and it wouldn't surprise me. Like I said,
No.
it wouldn't.
No.
Because that's what Doria tried to do in Pennington when they came. They lied. I mean, essentially, my wife and I both were like, "Oh no, they lied," because we knew the history, but we pretended like we didn't. And we let them speak, and we knew better. Right after they left, we both talked about it. So it was like, yeah, they're trying to get sides. I think get people on their sides. So. And then I never heard from him after that, because I don't know what happened. I never reached out. She gave me her number, all this stuff, was being all nice, sat at our dining room table. And yeah, it was weird. So those are the two new ones because Avery sold and then 27, the bank bought and somebody else bought it. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Interesting.
And I'm pretty
Very.
sure, I'm like 99% sure that was John. So,
Well, I wouldn't doubt it. It probably was, but that's really interesting.
because it was on a Saturday evening. So like right at dusk. So, yeah.
Interesting.
So I keep an eye just because I drive through the subdivision. I'm like looking at everybody. It's just my nature. So,
No, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Just kind of keeping an eye on everybody's place and make sure nothing's weird going on.
yep.
So, no, great. Okay, well, thank you so much for staying on and giving me the information, but that's really interesting and kind of what are they up to?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. With everything going on, it doesn't surprise me. So,
No,
and new people, may not know the history. So,
yeah. Yep. And they're, like you say, trying to get them on their side right off the bat.
yep. Because they tried it with us when we moved out. So,
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you again, and you guys have a wonderful evening.
you too, Randy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
right.